Hiring is one of the hardest things I do as a business operator. And I say that having done it wrong more times than I'd like to admit, because I've hired too fast or I've ignored red flags because I was desperate. And I have paid for it every single time. What I'm sharing in this video is the exact process we use at EcoShip to hire warehouse staff. It's the whole thing, start to finish, what we actually do. So if you're a self-fulfilling e-commerce founder building out your first team, I promise you, this is going to save you a lot of pain. I'm Jake from EcoShip at 3PL out of Reading, Pennsylvania. We ship 250,000 packages a year, and I've personally run over 100 interviews for warehouse positions. This is how we hire them. Here's the key concept about hiring. The entire process is one giant effort to figure out what's real and what's a smokescreen. Because the person across from you is trying to get a job. So they're presenting the best version of themselves, and I don't blame them, right? I do the same thing. But your job is to see past the smokescreen and figure out who they really are. And there's a second problem. Most of us have high standards for people that we've never actually written down or communicated. We know what we want intuitively, but we have not really clarified expectations and written them down. So when someone falls short, we're surprised, even though we never made the expectations clear. So both those problems are solvable. That's what this process is designed to do. But before we get into the steps, I want to talk about the thing that has blown up more hires for me than anything else. It's my own impatience. I'm a fast-moving person. I make decisions quickly. I bias toward action. Those are good qualities in a founder until you are hiring. Because when you're hiring, impatience is the bomb that's just going to blow it all up. Okay, so let's do some math on a wrong hire. We fire quickly in 1 month. And this is actually a fast fire. You got 4 weeks of training at $15 an hour, 25 hours a week. That's $1,500 in wages alone. You add my time, that's 5 hours a week for 4 weeks at $35 an hour. That's another $700. You got $2,200 before you've counted disruption, the restart, the taxes, and the toll it takes on your existing team. And that's if you catch it in a month, which from my experience, almost never happens. Honestly, I wish someone had sat me down years ago and said, be patient right now. The patience you spend in the process saves you enormous pain on the other side. We need to hire slow, fire fast. That's the mantra. And more than anything, build your process and follow it, especially when you don't want to. Because when you don't want to is when you make the mistakes. Okay, let's get into the process. Okay, step one, build the job description. I used to think job descriptions were just kind of formalities. It's a thing you post just because you have to. I was totally wrong. A clear job description is one of the most powerful things you can give someone you're about to hire because it gives someone the gift of knowing exactly what's expected of them. Imagine never being sure whether you're doing a good job. That is the reality for the majority of workers. It's a vague sense that things are okay, right? I'm not getting yelled at, but there's no real certainty. A clear job description solves that. It's not a jail. It's genuinely a gift to a person. Also, you cannot hold someone accountable to a standard you've never made clear. I mean, you can, and there's a term for it. It's called being a jerk. And you know this. So like great people are going to opt out of working for jerks. Now, when you think you're being crystal clear in your expectations, you got to double it. As a founder, most people find you extremely confusing. Again, I'm speaking from experience here. I had to work so hard to be understood by my team. And that's not their problem. It's mine. It's yours. It honestly took me a long time to accept that. Okay, so we structure our job description into 3 parts. 1, outcomes. What do we expect to be true if this person succeeds in the role? These need to be measurable and controllable. Measurable and controllable by the employee. That second part matters more than most people realize. Because here's an example. If I'm hiring someone to pack orders, a good outcome is ship all orders by 3 p.m. daily. A bad outcome is make sure we ship at least 50 orders a day. Why is the second one bad? Because they don't directly control how many orders come in. And if the ads underperform, then the volume drops. And now I've set them up to fail against a number they can't actually influence. And it seems minor, but it's not. Because if the expected outcome is weak, your employee will never really know if they're doing a good job, and you will struggle to give them feedback. Okay, number 2 is measures. How will we actually track their performance? For warehouse roles, we use picks per hour. It's simple, it's objective, it's directly tied to their work. But the smaller you are, the less sophisticated the number needs to be. We have one team member whose measure is literally, Jake is not taking the lead on our tax compliance. It's clear, it's simple, and it works. Number 3 is tasks. Now notice I put this last. It's the least important part of the job description because tasks are what a day actually looks like. This list is going to change over time. That's fine because the person doing the job will figure out the nuances of the job. But in the beginning, give them a real picture of what they're actually walking into. Step 2, post the job. We post our job description on Indeed. We sponsor at $5 a day and get plenty of applications. We title ours Warehouse Associate. You could do something like Shipping Lead or anything else. It's just depending on the role. Our job description also includes language around our company and our values. Editor Kevin's going to include the exact job description below so you can check it out. Now activate your marketing skills on your job description because you're looking to attract the right audience. great workers to your role. So sell your job to the people that you want to employ. And that's really it. There's not a lot of complexity here. Get it up, let it run for a few days before you start screening. Step 3, screen the applicants. So after a few days, we go through the applications that have come in and we pick like 5 to 10 people to move to a call. Here are green flags we look for on resumes. Number 1, consistency. We want to see people who stayed somewhere. Job hopping is a yellow flag for us. It's not always disqualifying, but it definitely raises some questions. And then 2, progression. Did they advance at the places they stayed? Growth within a role tells you the person is capable and they actually want to grow. And then 3, stay-at-home parents. I will say this as clearly as I can. Some of the most reliable, hardworking, responsible people we have ever hired came to the workforce after raising kids. In the early days of EcoShip, we literally built this business on parents in warehouse roles. If I see that background on a resume, it's a huge green flag because raising kids forces you to become responsible. It just does. Number 4, life outside of work. Do they have hobbies, volunteer work, anything that signals they care about things beyond just collecting a paycheck? It doesn't need to be much. It just needs to be something. Here's what we don't care about. I don't care about prior warehousing or shipping experience because we can teach this job to almost anyone. We don't care about age or gender, any other demographic information, because those things really tell us nothing about whether someone will show up and do great work. They don't give us good information. Okay, step 4, phone screen. Next, we move them to a phone screen. The goal of this call is simple. It's to get a general read on the person to make sure the basics of the job actually work for them. We'll cover pay, schedule, location, and the basic duties. We ask if the role works for them. If yes, we tell them we'll reach out to schedule an interview if we're interested. It should be like 10 minutes, maybe 15. If we get a voicemail, I'll text them to call me back at the time window. I know that works for me. Green flags here, they sound professional and they give clear answers to simple questions because these really are simple questions, so they really shouldn't struggle. Red flags, they're kind of sluggish on the phone or they give vague answers or they don't return your call. Okay, step 5, the in-person interview. This is where we really learn who someone is. We're evaluating 2 things, values fit and ability. And I'll tell you right now, we weigh values and character far higher than ability because we can train ability, we usually cannot train character. And on setting for the interview, we have a more casual interview room, and we always start with a tour of the warehouse before we sit down because the candidate is nervous. And honestly, I'm nervous too. So the more comfortable we can all get, the better read we'll get on who they actually are. So we'll introduce ourselves personally, not just our titles, but also a little bit about who we are as people. So I'll share about my family, my baby, how long I've worked at EcoShip, that sort of stuff. That signals to them that it's okay to do the same. And that's what we want. We want them talking. Now, here is something that took me too long to learn. If my mouth is open during an interview, I'm not learning anything. And the whole point is to learn who the candidate is. So the more my mouth is shut and the more they're talking, the better. Okay, I made that mistake too much. Now, here are questions we actually use during the interview. Number 1, tell us about yourself. It's a simple opener, but just watch how they handle it. Do they give you like a real answer about who they are, just kind of a rehearsed pitch? Number 2, why did you leave your last job? You're listening for honesty and self-awareness here. It's not a perfect answer. We don't need a perfect answer. If they say everyone was dumb and I hated them, yeah, probably don't hire that person. Number 3, what's the biggest mistake you've made at work? This is a character question because truly humble people who learn from their mistakes have no trouble with this question at all. They'll give you a real answer, but people who lack self-awareness will fumble it or they'll give you something kind of trivial. Number 4, if you could give advice to your last manager, what would it be? This one tells you how they see authority, how they communicate upward, and whether they have the maturity to be constructive rather than just critical. I'll put our full interview question template in the resources section below. This is just a sampling of them. These are tried and tested questions. We've iterated to get to these questions over like 5 years. Now, one book I'd point to anyone right now is Patrick Lencioni's The Ideal Team Player. It shaped a lot about how we think at what we're looking at for hiring. 2 things we're adding that we haven't always done and wish we had: reference checks and a shadow day. Shadow day is where the candidate comes in and works for a few hours before any offer is made. It's going to tell you a lot more about fit than any interview possibly could. We're doing this now. If you're earlier in the process than we were, start here. You don't need to wait 6 years to start doing it like us. Step 6, make the decision. Now here's a reframe that changed how I think about this stage. I'm not looking for the best person. I'm looking for the right person because best is relative. Right is defined by that job description we built in step 1, remember? Who do I actually believe will fulfill these outcomes with adequate training? If the answer is nobody in the current pool, I don't hire. So your options now are either waiting to get more candidates, increasing the wage to attract better candidates, because you will always find the right people if you pay enough. It's true. Number 3, increasing the job sponsorship to get more candidates. But I do not hire just to hire, especially when I'm desperate. I make the worst decisions when I'm desperate, because a wrong hire makes life miserable for everyone involved, including the person you hired. You end up having to fire them, which is humiliating for them, and it's so painful for you. The kindest thing you could do is not put someone into a position that they are not right for. And we do that through patience and following the process. Step 7, make the offer. We keep this simple. We message them on Indeed or give them a call, tell them we'd like to offer them the position. We land on a start date and confirm the pay. We don't have any formal offer letter at this stage. It's informal and fast, and that's worked well for us up to now. Onboarding and training is its own topic. I'm going to cover that in a separate video. To wrap up here, hire slow. It is so worth it. Build your entire process before posting the job. I've made that mistake a couple times. And then follow your process. The biggest risk to you making a bad hire isn't the candidate pool, it is your own impatience. It's my impatience. That's the variable that we can actually control. A bad hire makes life miserable for you, for your team, and honestly, for the person you hired. A great hire makes life incredible. The right person in the right seat doing work they're good at and growing in, that is where everybody wins, and a good process gets you that person. So take the time, build the process, do it right. I am Jake from EcoShip. Full interview template and resources are linked below. And if you have questions, you can always reach me at jake@ecoship.com. I will see you in the next one.